This company sells over 5 million motorcycles every single year, more than Harley-Davidson, Ducati, KTM and Triumph combined. And yet outside of India, almost no one knows their name. They started with bicycle parts, partnered with Honda to disrupt India's roads, then walked away. And somehow, they still became the largest motorcycle company on earth. Because while the West obsesses over Teslas and electric scooters, Hero was busy doing something else, quietly building transportation for the next billion people. But wait, I can already hear some of you saying, who cares about some random Indian bike company? Well, stick around because today I'm going to show you why you should care, how emerging markets can build global giants completely outside Western awareness, and what happens when the rest of the world stops waiting for Silicon Valley to solve its problems and starts solving its own. Before Hero became a $10 billion empire, they were just a tiny shop in Punjab. This is 1944. The world is going through World War II, but four brothers in Ludhiana were focused on something else. And that something else was making bike parts. Led by Brijmohan Lal Munjal, they started Hero Cycles with almost nothing. No factory and no capital. But timing was on their side. Then, history flips. India gains independence in 1947. Suddenly, the country needs affordable transport. They go from bicycle parts to full bicycles, and by 1986, Hero became the world's largest bike maker, a record they still hold. But bikes were just the beginning. Munjal saw what was next. A country on the move. In the 70s, owning any motorized vehicle in India was rare. Only 2.5% of Indian households owned two-wheelers. For context, that would be like only 1 in 40 American families owning a car. Public transportation was overcrowded and unreliable. And for millions of Indians entering the workforce, mobility meant opportunity. The few motorcycles on Indian roads were either luxury imports or scooters like Vespa and Lambretta, symbols of aspiration but too expensive for most. This created a massive gap in the market, affordable, reliable transportation for the emerging middle class. And Hero was perfectly positioned to fill it. But there was one problem. Hero knew bicycles, not engines. They needed technology. So in 1983, Hero did something that would change everything. They partnered with Honda, the Japanese motorcycle giant. The deal was straightforward. Honda would provide the engine technology and global expertise, and Hero would handle manufacturing and distribution in India. Their first bike, the CG100, was life-changing for one simple reason. It was efficient. Other bikes guzzled fuel, but the CG100's four-stroke engine delivered incredible mileage at over 80 kilometers per liter. In a country where fuel costs were a significant portion of daily wages, this wasn't just a feature, it was economic liberation. And actually, that matters more than most people realize. Over 3 billion people around the world live on less than $6.85 a day. In India, tens of millions fall below that threshold. So a motorcycle that's cheap to run isn't just a convenience, it's a gateway to opportunity. Hero's bikes gave people access to work, school, healthcare, things many in the West take for granted. Their famous tagline said it best: fill it, shut it, forget it. But Honda got something valuable too. They got access to what would become the world's largest two-wheeler market. For context, India today sells about 17 million two-wheelers annually. That's 85% of all vehicle sales in the country. The partnership took off. By 2001, Hero Honda became the world's largest two-wheeler manufacturer. Their bikes, especially the iconic Splendor, weren't just products, they became part of Indian culture. Why? Because Hero understood what their bikes meant to people. For 72% of their customers, a motorcycle wasn't just transport, it was pride, independence. Their marketing tapped directly into this emotion. Campaigns like Desh Ki Dharkan or Heartbeat of the Nation positioned Hero bikes as more than vehicles. They were symbols of progress. And then came India's economic liberalization in 1991. As economic reforms unleashed growth, India's middle class expanded to over 300 million people. And interestingly, rural consumption outpaced urban growth by 1.5 times from 2009 to 2019. And Hero was perfectly positioned to capitalize on this wave. So how exactly did Hero dominate the market? 3 words: scale, distribution, and localization. First is scale. Hero focused on the 100 to 125 cubic centimeter segment. low-cost, fuel-efficient bikes for the mass market that competitors couldn't match. This led to manufacturing efficiency that was hard to beat. At its peak, the Splendor alone sold 200,000 units a month, more than some global brands sell in a year. Second is distribution. Hero built India's largest dealer network, over 5,000 touchpoints by 2010, with 97% rural penetration. In a country where service accessibility matters as much as the product itself, this was game-changing. Third is localization. Hero didn't just sell the same bike everywhere. They created variants for different regions. Heavy-duty bikes for Punjab's farms, kickstart variants for areas with unreliable electricity, and regional price adjustments based on local economics. They also innovated where it mattered most to their customers: fuel efficiency. Their idle stop-start tech improved mileage to 103 kilometers per liter. This is so critical in a market where running costs determine purchasing decisions. But not all partnerships are built to go the distance. In 2010, after 27 years together, Hero and Honda announced their split. Honda wanted to operate independently in India. For Hero, it was an identity crisis. Could they survive without Honda's tech? So Hero bought Honda's 26% stake for a massive $850 million. But the real challenge was just beginning. How do you build your own tech after relying on Honda for 30 years? Hero's response was bold. They invested $102 million in R&D, building a massive technology center in Jaipur. They also formed strategic partnerships with global companies like Eric Buell Racing, AVL, and Engines Engineering. In 2016, they launched the Splendor iSmart 110, their first motorcycle built entirely in-house, from the ground up. To prove they could compete globally, they chose Argentina for the global launch of their Glamour 125. They also rebranded as Hero Motorcorp, launching a massive campaign, Hami Hey Hero. There is a hero in each of us, with a catchy theme song by an Oscar winner. The message was clear. We don't need Honda, we are Hero. And it worked. While many predicted Hero's decline after the split, they maintained their leadership position. Even today, Hero holds 29% market share versus Honda's 26%. But just as Hero was finding its footing alone, a new threat emerged. A new era of mobility has begun, and it's electric. Today, EVs make up about 5% of India's two-wheeler market. By 2030, that's projected to reach 25 to 30%, and the competition isn't coming from traditional rivals. New players like Ola Electric have captured 38% of the EV market in just a few years. Traditional competitors like TVS and Bajaj are also making aggressive EV moves. Hero's response came in 2022 with the launch of their EV brand, Vida. Their first model, the V1, sells around 7,000 units every month. Respectable, but far from dominant. To compensate, Hero is pursuing aggressive international expansion. They've entered markets like Nigeria with specially designed models like the Hunter 100. They've expanded into Brazil and the Philippines with a goal to double exports by 2026. They're also building strategic alliances with Gogoro in Taiwan for battery swapping infrastructure and with Zero Motorcycles in California for premium electric bikes. But all of these moves point to one underlying issue. Hero is playing catch-up, and the clock is ticking. Despite being the world's largest motorcycle manufacturer, Hero remains overwhelmingly dependent on India, with 96% of sales coming from their home market. They've also missed key opportunities. When scooters resurge in India, now 35% of the market, Hero's models like Maestro and Pleasure couldn't compete with Honda's dominant Activa. In the performance segment, they were late to the party. While Bajaj's Pulsar and TVS's Apache built youth loyalty in the 2000s, Hero only recently entered the space with models like the Extreme 160R and Charisma XMR. Adding to the challenges, their own family business split creates market confusion. Hero Electric, run by a different branch of the Manjal family, entered the EV space earlier and causes brand confusion among consumers. So here's the question. Could a company like Hero happen again? In today's world of hyper-growth startups, tech valuations, and venture-backed unicorns, a slow, methodical, family-run business scaling into a global giant feels almost impossible. And yet, that's exactly what Hero did. Not by disrupting the system, but by deeply understanding it. Not by chasing headlines, but by solving real, everyday problems for millions of people. Hero didn't build luxury, they built infrastructure. They didn't move fast and break things, they moved patiently and built trust. And in doing so, they didn't just sell motorcycles, they unlocked mobility, access, and economic opportunity for an entire middle class. This isn't just an Indian story, it's a global one, because half the world still lives on less than $7 a day. And in many emerging economies across Africa, Southeast Asia, Latin America, the most valuable innovations aren't the most advanced. They're the most useful, the most accessible, the most trusted. Hero's story shows us that global scale doesn't always require global attention. You can build a $10 billion company without Silicon Valley even noticing, by focusing on the very people Silicon Valley often overlooks. The big question isn't just who builds the most powerful technology, it's who builds technology that actually works for the next billion people. Because the future of mobility won't just be designed in Cupertino. It will be ridden through Lagos, sold in Jakarta, and serviced in small towns across India. Hero understood that, and that's why this story matters, not just for India, but for the world. So tell me, what's a company from your country that changed everything, but no one outside knows about? Drop it in the comments. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching. Video done. One done.